Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has been performing prayers at the funeral service of President Ebrahim Raisi. Tens of thousands of people have gathered in Tehran for the funeral procession. Raisi, along with the foreign minister and other officials, died in a helicopter crash in northern Iran on Sunday. 63-year-old Raisi was widely expected to succeed Khamenei as supreme leader. Let's bring in Sara Bazoobandi here. She joins us from the Hamburg-based German Institute of Global and Area Studies. Tell us, Sara, how closely is this funeral being followed in Iran? Is there a shared sense of grief in the country?
Good morning. Well, President Raisi was the only president in Iran since the Islamic Revolution that had the lowest rate of participation when he was elected. All other Islamic Republic presidents had higher rate of participation when they were elected. So that tells you a lot about how popular this figure in political realm in Iran was. Of course, his economic performance and his economic policies were disastrous. None of his campaigns were delivered. And during his term, one of the bloodiest crackdown on peaceful protests in Iran took place in 2022. So despite the fact that we do not have access to all the society in Iran, because when the Iranian government allows Western media to go and prepare reports, they watch them, they take them to certain places, they only allow them to speak to certain kind of people. Everything is pre-staged and premeditated. So we don't really get a right picture about what's happening in Iran. But despite all of that, I think these numbers and these facts about and events that happened during his presidency really tells us a lot about what the overall sense in Iran is. There have been campaigns online that share a sense of relief, a sense of happiness. Iranians in diaspora have been expressing happiness. It's not because of the death of one person. Of course, nobody will be celebrating a death, but it's the fact that he was associated with a lot of crackdowns with execution of the Iranian oppositions in the 80s when he was a public prosecutor in Iran.
Right.
And the fact that he was very close to the supreme leader really didn't help his case. So I don't think there is a widespread sense of grief, to be short.
Now, we've seen footage of a black turban on the coffin of the late president. Can you tell us what the significance of that is?
Yes. In the Shia faith, the clergies wear either white turban or black turban. The black turban signifies that they are descendant from Prophet Muhammad, it's in the local culture and especially in the political culture, it's a very it's a symbol of legitimization of power, if you will, because if you're a descendant from the prophet of the faith, then by default you carry a certain degree of gravitas and legitimacy. Another interesting thing about this prayer session was that the Supreme Leader repeated a sentence that is a verse in the special prayer for the deceased that says, "We have not seen anything but good deeds from these people," in Arabic. He repeated that quite a few times in his prayer. And just to give you an example of how important this verse is, when he was doing the prayer for former President Rafsanjani, he did not recite that verse. So it shows that he uses these verses of the prayer to express his own views about people.
Okay. Now, just briefly, if you can, what does Raisi's death mean for those fighting for protection of human rights in Iran? Because there have been quite a few people going out on the streets demonstrating for that.
Yes. Look, there is a system, and when you take one element out of the system, really doesn't make that much sense. It was symbolic because he was associated with executions in the 80s. But I don't think it means that we are going to see a more peaceful approach from the Islamic Republic.
Sara, thank you very much. That was Sara Bazoobandi from the German Institute of Global and Area Studies.